Alright guys, so we're going to finish up Deuteronomy today. We got 33 and 34, which is real short, and today's study is just going to be real short. So reading through this, basically, we had seen all these negative aspects in the previous chapters, God telling them that they're going to fall away, and all this, but then we get to 33, and God is telling Moses to bless the children of Israel. So he had kind of given them a little bit of a prophetic statement in the previous chapters, talking about how it's not them personally that will fall away, it is ultimately their children and their seed, and that these people will be blessed. This generation that finally made it into the land will be blessed, but that their seed and future generations will basically become apathetic, or as someone mentioned on on the comments, they'll become complacent in their relationship with God, and then as a result, those future generations will begin to fall away. But one of the things that we do here is that as we're going through chapter 33, the chapter here is basically Moses blessing each one of the 12 tribes, and you can look at those, and each one kind of carries its own little significance. In verse 12 it says, "And of Benjamin he said, the beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders." So, he blesses Benjamin, with safety, and that the Lord will cover him or protect him, and that he'll dwell in safety, and so on and so forth. So each one of them is got his own little unique blessing, but something that kind of summarized it all that I wanted to point out was in verse 29. It says, after the end of their blessings, and after they follow God and listen to him, it says, "Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places." And basically, Moses is kind of bringing to mind the fact that, who are you, Israel? Happy are you, and who is like unto you? Name another nation that has been called out of all the other nations, that existed at that time. Name another nation that was called out to have a relationship with God on this level, and there wasn't any. And it says, "O people saved by the Lord, the shield of thy help." So they were saved by God, and God is their shield. And who is the sword of thy excellency? So he goes out and he battles for them, and he strikes down the enemies, and things like this. And God is Moses is really just kind of pointing out to all the tribes about how significant, how special of a relationship they have with God that no other nation has. So that's something that Christ gives to us as well. And then when you get to 34, one of the things that we see here is that Moses basically is allowed to go up onto the mount and look out onto the land, and that he ends up dying and being buried in Moab, and that concludes the chapter. And one of the things that it says is that in verse 10 it says, "And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face." And it goes on to kind of talk about some of the things that Moses did, but the point being is that there were no other follow-on prophets who ever had the relationship that God had with Moses. There weren't any more, so that was the end of that line. So keep that in mind there, Muhammad followers and things like this. So basically, one of the things I wanted to point out is that in each one of these chapters, I went through and I pulled out something that spoke to me personally. This is not a verse-by-verse read where, I'm reading every single verse and I'm summarizing the chapter. Sometimes I did, but that wasn't the point of what we were doing. So I would encourage you to go back and read each one of the chapters before you watch one of the videos. Also, I got a lot of, I got some hate comments, which was, I call it hate comments, but it was just a bunch of people who were pissed off that I didn't answer their questions in the video, that I didn't address the points that they wanted addressed or whatever. Look, uh, open your Bible. If you want to know what it says, open your Bible and read it for yourself. You know, God grants wisdom to those who ask for it. You know, if you want to know what it says, if you want your question answered, answer it. Or you can comment respectfully, and I'd be happy to respond. But if you're going to act like a douche and just uh, say things, put things all in caps, an exclamation point, and all this, uh, find another channel. It's a free channel. Okay, go somewhere else. I don't really care. So anyway, this is something that I wanted to provide for people who were kind of in the same walk and journey that I am. I wanted to examine the Exodus and compare that to the Christian life, and also compare that to the uh, the book Pilgrim's Progress, where the character Christian comes out of the world and he walks the path, and so on and so forth. I wanted to compare all three of these and see how it lined up with one another, and I think they do. So um, if that's not what you're into, if you don't want to listen, that's okay. Go find another channel. Better yet, open your Bible, read for yourself, pray that God would grant you wisdom and give you understanding, and be open-minded about it. Not I'm right, uh, not that kind of attitude, but it's that attitude that you remain teachable. Um, and then the Lord will bless that, and He will teach you and give you understanding. So, anyway, wanted to share with you guys there. So, God bless.